it's March 18th, I believe, and this whole month I've only read 2 books. I can't even remember what the first one was. I know I read Island of the Blue Dolphins this month, and I read something else, but I don't remember what it is. Obviously wasn't that memorable. Anywho, it's kind of sad because I had been in a reading slump for February, and I was like, damn it, I only read 11 books February. So here comes March, and I'm vowing to read more, and I've only read 2 books. Oh, it's so sad. To be fair, I had quite a weird month, so I will cut myself some slack and say it's okay. Just throw it out the window. March is a throwaway month so far. Maybe I can make up for it in the last week, who knows. Anyway, today I went to my friend Annika's house, and she had a whole bunch of kids' books. She had cleared out her shelves and said, these are a bunch of kid books that I don't want anymore. And so I went through them, and lo and behold, I come home with like a stack of kids' books. Some of them, which were actually my own books that I lent to her in the first place. So thank you, Annika, for giving those back to me. But I will just introduce you to them. I've got a whole stack, so stay tuned. First up is the Stepping Stones, which is, if you don't know it, they have sort of leveled readers. So they have grade 1, grade 2, whatever. This one is a Stepping Stones chapter book about the Titanic. For some reason, I used to always love the Titanic. I thought it was like the biggest tragedy in the entire universe, which it was a huge tragedy. It was awful. But I was obsessed. I used to love it. Anyway, so I'm excited to read this, get back into the swing of things, because I think it's a very interesting time in history. Then I've got this book called Pick Up Sticks by Sarah Ellis, and it is, I think, a mother-daughter story, sort of about mother-daughter relationships and how to navigate a difficult relationship with your mother, particularly if your mother is a difficult person to live with. They put it as a warm, moving, and frequently funny, very funny story about being the daughter of a wonderful but infuriating mother. So that'll be interesting. Next up, I've got all 3 books of the Gordon Corman series Island. So Island, number 1, number 2, and number 3. Or blue, red, and green. And I remember reading these a long time ago. I don't actually remember what happens, so I'm excited to read them. I know that this, Island number 1, I believe was a staff pick at the Indigo that I worked at for a while, so could be very good from what I know. Next up, I've got a whole bunch of Farley Mowat books. So I've got The Dog Who Wouldn't Be, I've got Never Cry Wolf, and Owls in the Family. So they're all about animals, and obviously all by Farley Mowat. But I've heard really good things. I don't think I've actually ever read a Farley Mowat book, which shocks me, seeing as I've read so much in my life. But, I mean, there's always new books out there, so, you know, keep going, keep plodding along. And yeah, so I'm excited for these ones. And then I have The Cat Who Went to Heaven by Elizabeth Coatsworth, winner of the Newbery Medal. And it just looks like a nice little story about, I don't even know what about, but it sounded interesting. The Cat Who Went to Heaven kind of strikes me, so I picked that one up too. Then I have number 2 of the Spiderwick Chronicles, but it's in French. I took school in French, so I obviously can read it, and I just thought it might be a good opportunity for me to pick up my French again. So I picked this one up. I wish it had been the first one, because I don't actually remember what happens in the first book, so I might have to read the first book in English before I can read this second book in French. Possibly. Next up, I've got The Seekers, Toklo's story, and which is a graphic novel manga type. And anyone who knows me knows I used to love the Warrior series. I used to love it. I used to play this game with my friends where we would pretend to be cats. Like, of course, who didn't do that? So, anyway, I was Purple Paw for a while. That was my clan name. Anyway, so I love the Warriors. I've never read any of the Seekers, but I feel like they're less good. So we will see with this one. I'm keeping my options open and expectations low. And then I've got 2 books that originally were mine. I lent to Annika, and somehow they found their way back to me today. Yay! And these are some Edward Eager books, who I think is probably one of the most hilarious authors ever, Edward Eager. And he writes about magic, and he writes very comically. So it's a great combination, and I would definitely recommend these 2 books. And there's a third one, The Knight's Castle, which I didn't like as much as these ones, but is still definitely worth a read. And then, the one I'm the most excited about, save the best for last, right, is The King in the Window, which I read a million years ago with my dad. He read it out loud to me. And I remember thinking, wow, this is such an interesting, weird book. And I guess I lent it to Annika and never saw it again, and was thinking about it a little while ago, and thinking, where did it go? Where did it go? I'd like to read it again. I couldn't find it anywhere. And then there it is, just sitting on Annika's coffee table. So I pick it up, and there's my name in it. I'm like, that's where my copy went, right here. So anyway, those are the books that I collected from Annika. Thank you, Annika, for your books, and I will be reading them very soon. I would like to know how your marches are going, so let me know in the comments. I will see you next time. Bye, guys.